Welcome to Beyond Musical Sounds for yet another episode of an exciting and enriching program. Last week we discussed music and nature, that is the nature of music and the music of nature. Today we want to discuss about health and its relation to music, that is music and health. And of course, joining me in studio is my ever-present, ever-blessed and a blessing husband, called Andrew Owino Okwany. Andrew, please say hi to the viewers.
Welcome again, and I want to greet you. I hope you are in good health today. My blessed wife is with me today to debunk again another segment of Beyond Musical Sounds.
All right, and joining us in studio is a good friend of mine, a worthy woman, a woman of valor, a woman of value. She is called Sheba. She's one of the most intelligent women I have met on this planet. She's called Sheba Osiany. Sheba, you want to say hi to the people?
Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Welcome to Beyond Musical Sounds. Sheba is a medical researcher by profession, and we are glad to have her in studio today. She'll be helping us to discuss some of the subjects around music and health.
Music and health, are they even related?
Yes, they are.
How?
If you go back to the, let me say the older days,
Yes.
anytime someone was ailing or someone had an issue, mental issue, you realize they're calmed down with music.
Yes.
Even with kids, you realize when children are crying and they're becoming uncontrollable, when you play music, it naturally suits them. So you realize music had some healing effects, both to young, teenage and adults. So I think music and health have a very big role.
There is actually a part of music and medicine called music therapy, where you can branch from music and become a music therapist. You can treat children with learning disabilities using music, but there is also, just the health of the musician.
Let's start there. Now that is where I can talk, and then I let you doctors be talking about the health matters. You see, first of all, there are diseases that are specific to musicians. I wonder whether Kaswende is one of them.
No.
Or HIV. But there's a high prevalence of sexually transmitted diseases in people with sexual perversion, and it can be linked to music. And in a future segment, we'll talk about music and morality. That's just a food for thought. There are vocal, or do you call them respiratory diseases? Give it a good term. Me, I can murder your profession.
Now, respiratory diseases just refer to, diseases of your breathing system.
Breathing system, the nose.
Yeah, the nose, the throat, your lungs. Yeah.
Why?
And your singing apparatus,
What's
depending
that?
on how you use it. That is your voice box.
Yeah,
if I
so there are
should
people
put
who lose their voices.
Yes, have
They
you seen
get-
tenors?
Mostly tenors, they tend to lose their vocal cords.
Why?
At times there's breakage. Maybe I think it's use and disuse, naturally wear and tear. It can cause that.
So you've used inappropriately the vocal cords.
Yes, sometimes you overstretch them, because it's a muscle. And these muscles, when you overuse them and overstretch them, you'll find naturally there are preachers who, because of misuse of their voice becomes hoarse.
I thought good preaching is shouting. You have to hammer the point. You must make it loud. The preacher talks from the top of his voice, from the bottom of his heart, and when he finishes, the sermon is without form and void, and darkness is on the face of the preacher. Well, I don't think that preaching is you have to be loud.
Yeah, so sometimes you can lose your voice because of singing, and that singing is usually poor singing, where you've heard of choir trainers asking you to sing from the stomach. Yeah,
not from here.
Yeah, and the reason...
How do you sing from the stomach?
No, the idea is to support your diaphragm from your stomach, that if your accessory muscles of breathing are in your abdomen. Okay?
Let's deal with this first of all.
Yeah.
The mechanics of sound production. Now, from an engineering point of view, sound is a result of vibration, compression of air, and then when it relaxes, that's how sound is produced at certain frequencies. So the vocal cords are muscles. You'll see somebody drinking water, they think they are refreshing the vocal muscle. Do you know that the vocal muscle receives that water 30 minutes later? That water goes down to your stomach first, it gets absorbed, and then it comes back. So if you wanted to refresh the vocal muscles, you better do it earlier. And then the practice you talked about. Voice as a muscle just needs to be practiced, to be taught, to stretch to whatever ranges and whatever dynamics you want it to create. When we don't learn that as singers, we stretch our vocal muscles. You've never been used to it. Even speakers. A lot of speakers go down with consumption or TB of the voice. I'm talking like the prophet, if you know my language now. The doctors will give a term to it. And because of disuse of the voice, I don't think somebody should shout for them to make a point. In any case, shouting has many problems. Number one, you lose the voice. We're going to talk about that. Then how do you take care of your voice? Number two, you complicate authority issues. When someone listens to you and you're shouting, whether in music or in talking, somebody thinks you are angry, somebody thinks you want to beat them up. And then you also misrepresent God. I don't think God shouts. Look at everywhere he talks in a still small voice. God would like conversations. Come, let us reason together, not argue together.
Yeah. Apart from respiratory, conditions, what other conditions do you think musicians face?
I think generally, apart from just the common chords and everything, some might have health issues coming up, like CAs, cancer of the throat, that comes from continuous disuse of the same respiratories. You find most musicians, like, I'll take an example of the Gaither musicians. A good number of them, a percentage of those who passed, had underlying cancer issues. And most of them were either throat CAs, which, apart from lifestyle issues, might be due to use and disuse
by the voice
of the cords.
Yeah. So there are several other issues as well. One is some of them can have hearing difficulties. And when you sing, the voice first has to be heard in your head. You have to resonate it in your mind for you to produce and know that now this is loud enough or this is too soft. And a lot of the times, especially for choirs and individuals that are accustomed to shouting and very loud music, you will end up reducing your hearing ability because of too much exposure to decibels of sound that are too high. That
because
end up
the vibration happened next to the hearing apparatus.
Yes, there are actually some 3 bones in your ears that vibrate all the time.
Tell us which bones they are.
I won't go into the details of which
then
bones
I will decide their names. Acapella, patella, and spatula. 3 bones.
Yes, then you can call them the 3 musketeers of your ears.
Right.
So vibration has to pass through,
bones.
those bones, and there are many other things. There's fluid as well in your ear, and all these fluid mechanisms, and there's hair. All right, there is air as well in your. There is air mastoid cells,
So somebody can lose hearing because they are used to singing so loud, or it can impair their hearing later because they messed up that system out of not checking the use of their vocal cords.
Others simply because they had, earphones.
Earphones is also a factor because that's beyond musical sound. But what do you use to produce the musical sound?
Yes, so it could be earphones, headphones, but the issue is about the quality of the sound that you're listening to. Some people would be listening to hard rock, and how long the exposure was for.
And today there's an increase in very big music speakers. I don't know. It's loud everywhere. It's very difficult to find a quiet church or some people just using the microphone or the speakers to talk to you. They just want to shout at you, and I don't think it's good for health and for age.
True. And among other things that come from use and disuse, like for you as a pianist, should you use your fingers for so long? It's like someone who jogs. Your joints have how do you call it, some lubrication.
Oh, yeah.
So you expect certain conditions like arthritis
Synovitis.
and synovitis and things like that. What that means, huge terms. But it just simply means your joints can degenerate, you know, over time because of overusing.
No, you guys are misleading us. I thought the vocal cords get better by use.
To what extent?
Okay, so there's an overuse.
There's overuse. I
At
think
what point?
when it comes to music, there's a misconception that I have to shout, or even as a preacher, I have to shout for my message to be heard. You don't have to shout to get the message home. And I think that there's this excitement people look for in church. If I don't get ka-boom, boom, then that is not music. What if we went back to the olden days when we just do cool music and the message is home? You leave church blessed. But nowadays there's a tendency of, what do you call them, doom cha. I mean, it's too much noise. You're messing people at church without your knowledge. I think it's time we went back to proper music.
You guys.
And speaking about that doom cha thing.
What is doom cha? You know you guys are introducing terms here. You know that term, I'm the one who coined.
Sure.
Yeah, because of how this thing sounds.
So
like doom.
Yeah, it would just sound like that.
Bring the drums into
it. It has other health effects that sometimes we don't think about.
That's what I wanted to ask. Is it just affecting the hearing? Does it cause certain chemicals in your body that alters maybe your stress levels, that causes addiction, and finally brings health issues? Let's start with...
now, let me start with your heart, because I love the heart, When you play that loud booming bass, there are people whose hearts cannot take it, and they start getting palpitations. Just palpitations is just you're aware of your heartbeat, you know? Your heartbeat becomes a little stronger. Your pressure goes up just slightly higher. Now imagine if these people are exposed to that music each and every day, every Sabbath in church. How high are we causing people's pressures to go?
Actually, there's a study that by two doctors, Dr. Bernadette and another one, they say when you're exposed to hard rock and music of loud sound, your heart rate goes up, your skin sensitivity goes down, you lose immunity, your breath rate goes up, so it just messes up your normal parameters to a high. And do people want to have a high heart rate?
I think talking from the medical point of view, the moment you start having heart conditions, you start a downward trend. You start dealing with lifestyle diseases, even at a tender age. I'll give an example of recently where music kills. Was it a week or 2 weeks? This girl who was dancing at the pulpit, that's something she always does. She's always singing and dancing. She died at the pulpit, at church, Now that tells you, when you listen to the kind of music they were playing, I want to believe the heart could not take it anymore. She started feeling it, but she couldn't know what was happening. You get? So she got excited. In the excitement, she fainted. By the time she was rushed,
we need to check that out. That news was just around the time we are doing the recording in January right now.
Yeah.
Well,
2022, somebody dies for dancing.
Well, before you check that out, there could be other conditions that somebody had prior to them getting, because, and we are very sorry for that loss. It is not, we don't celebrate the death of anyone, because the Bible says that it is God's desire that we should have health, we should have life and have it more abundantly. So yes, it is possible that there could have been a certain condition prior to the death, but you can't also overrule the role of music in accelerating certain conditions. For example, if somebody already had a heart condition and you put some adrenaline
to their system,
you
shock them,
or you put some cortisol to their system. Now those are huge terms for hormones that can cause your body mechanism or body physiology to change. Okay, and there are different ways in which I can put adrenaline or cortisol to your system. I can either pick the drug itself and put it in your system, and you'll have,
Sindano.
yes.
But musicians
But-
also have ways of putting
Exactly.
cortisol, and
Musicians
some of
can
them
put it to you through your ears
include,
or
some of
through your
them-
skin.
Yeah, some of them include
Mhm.
loud booming bass.
Yeah.
You may not know it, but that excitement, that energy you feel is
Mhm.
really bad for you, because adrenaline tells you this place, live here.
Mhm.
I can also disorganize the rhythm.
Mhm.
That's the production of rock music. Whenever
Mhm.
the rhythm is out of normal nature's rhythm,
Mhm.
it puts the heart to a state of stress.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The loud booming bass puts the brain to a state of stress. Whichever part of the body is stressed up,
Mhm.
the body just responds that way.
Mhm.
Even certain harmonies have a way of causing tension to
Mhm.
certain brain parts, and that tension is not good. So you want relaxed music, you want
Mhm.
quiet music, you want natural music,
Mhm.
you want less of discordant music, music that speaks in the normal sound.
Mhm.
When God assigned sounds to nature, we just did music and nature the previous episode, you can go and check that. God assigned volume to some of those instruments, some of the animals.
Mhm.
They are not too loud. They are not too loud.
Mhm.
So when we manufacture for ourselves very loud music, it works against our health.
Now, I wanted to add that musicians are actually also prone to a lot of mental health
Yes, and we need to talk
issues.
about that.
I don't know what you
Depression.
have met amongst musicians.
I think, yes, mental health cuts across even in musicians, but I think mostly it stems from too much pressure of competition, especially in the
Yeah.
current society.
Mhm.
There's a haste of producing music. So a lot of people are trying to produce music. The moment you expect, there's expectation
Mhm.
that if I did this song, it should hit
Mm.
to enable me
Wow.
get something.
Mhm.
And the moment that doesn't happen, someone starts stressing out. Maybe that's their source of livelihood. So you find a lot of musicians who depend solely on music as a source of income start developing stress and
Stress,
mental
yeah.
issues.
Mhm.
That if not well handled, some die out of it. Some become frustrated, and then we find very good musicians or people who were once very good musicians losing it.
Mhm.
Why? It wasn't curbed. Expectation wasn't curbed. People didn't understand, why am I doing music?
Mhm.
Am I reaching out to people, or am I making it purely business oriented?
Mhm.
So I think that's a major source of mental issue among musicians.
All right, so there is the subject of, expectations. What else do you think causes depression among musicians?
I have another look at what she said,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe we need to dedicate a whole session to it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that someone can live off music entirely
Mhm.
without doing something else. The
Mhm.
question is how.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe you can only record and get money, it may not serve for all seasons. You may
Yeah.
want to open other revenue streams if that's your chief gifting. When God gave gifts to people, is for them to thrive. So you can open other revenue streams. We're going to explore that in a future episode.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that expectation, the other side that caused me to think, there is a way society puts you.
Yeah.
So you're always striving to want to keep up that feast.
Mm-hmm.
Musicians are not supposed to have family problems. Musicians are not supposed to be broke. You must look happy on Sabbath. You are a chorister in church.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Must you be happy every Sabbath?
I think it's not like a must. You have to be happy.
Yeah, there are days
But
you are low.
there are days you're low,
Mm.
and what makes you happy while at church is, it's a Sabbath. I'm coming to meet my Savior who understands all these problems
No
I
problem.
have.
Mm-hmm.
That alone makes you happy.
So you somehow pull a
and
smile.
and
see?
sometimes you have to create the mood, because if I'm going to be choristering in a church where everyone is dull, I mean, where is the
But
hope I'm giving
Sheba,
these
wait,
people?
do you have to chorister? Are there days you are so downright low that you just want to sit in your corner somewhere and you don't want attention?
Yes, there are days when I've been approached to do choristry, when
And
I'm
you
not
can't.
in the mood, and when I know I'm not in the right state of mind.
Yeah.
I've turned it down and request them, you know what? Let someone else step
Do
in.
it, yeah.
I also need to be blessed by someone else's choristry.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do it when you're not in the right state of mind.
But I like what she said earlier, that the purpose of music is to take us away from depression, to take us away from disease.
But
to
could
take
it
us
be that
away
the
from-
music itself could actually be leading you to depression?
Yeah, that depending
Yes,
on the
it
type
can.
of music.
I think it can be. Why do I say so? Most people nowadays, when we are going through issues, we try looking for songs to relate to it instead of helping us out of it. It takes us deeper.
Like somebody has broken up with you and you're listening to how am I supposed to live without you,
How am I
baby?
supposed to live without you? Or you start, you know.
The best song when someone has broken up with you is this song that says Jesus is all
My life, my joy, my all. Yes, my friend, from day to day, without him I would fall. When I am sad, to him I go. No other one can cheer me sore. When I am sad, he makes me glad. He's my friend.
Yeah.
So you think the music can send us further into depression?
True.
Yeah, if you don't choose the right music.
If you don't choose the right music.
That's what Robert
Is it
does.
the right music in terms of the words of the music or the music bed?
Both.
Now,
Some
before you answer that, I want you to hold on to that thought. I'll invite Sheba to sing one item of music and we'll take a break and you can join us after this break to hear the answer to that question.
I feel the touch of hands so kind and tender. They're leading me in the paths that I must tread. I will not fear when Jesus walks beside me. For I'm sheltered in the arms of God. So let the storms rage high, the dark clouds rise, they don't worry me, for I'm sheltered safe within the arms of God. He walks with me, and naught of earth can harm me. For I'm sheltered in the arms of God. Soon I shall hear a call from heaven's portals. Come home, my child, it's the last mile you must trod. I'll fall asleep and wake in God's new heaven, sheltered safe within the arms of God. So let the storms rage high, the dark clouds rise, clouds of earth can harm me. Sheltered safe within the arms of God. We're sheltered safe within the arms of God.
Indeed, we are sheltered safe within the arms of God. Stay tuned as we take a short break. We'll continue with this discussion right after the break. Welcome back to Beyond Musical Sounds, and today we are discussing music and health. Right before the break, we left it at a question that you are about to answer on: is depression caused by the type of music we listen to, and what type of music would that be?
A study showed that the people of, that was a shocking study, have more chances of depressive disorders than other faiths.
I think we'll give reference to that study at the end of this show.
That raised questions for more studies into that matter. You know, and they found out that one of the underlying causes is the type of music that it's an upbeat rock type music, a music that is that gives you a high of dopamine and a high of cortisol. Now, cortisol, you guys know, you can talk about a little bit before I tell you what cortisol does. What is cortisol?
Cortisol is a stress hormone. But I think listening or looking at that study, it's produced by your adrenal glands, and you know the adrenal gland is a gland right on top of your kidney.
We don't want the
but
when I walk outside there, where do I get cortisol? Does it come from outside? Then the adrenal, is there a trigger from outside?
There are several triggers. Okay, so there are things that are natural. Like if you have a little stress, your cortisol should go up, and the reason why it's there, it's to help your body cope with stressful conditions.
What about external environments that would cause cortisol to go up?
Different things, like if you have an exam coming, you'll feel your cortisol levels are up. You need to read. If you have a lion in the room, your adrenaline and cortisol will go up.
Did you know that unnatural sounds also can cause cortisol? Like when an aeroplane passes too close, those decibels go very high. And music also has some of that effect, but much more. Some music of certain nature produce cortisol in the blood, and that cortisol increases just your natural way of being stressed out. So you want to choose music that does the opposite, that dissolves that cortisol.
So it's not just music, I think, because that study, I think I've read it, and it says it's about the nature of the songs that they listen to. Other studies now
do study the other natures of music, like techno music. I think today we are a little blessed. I can play for you some techno sound here. Music of this nature, if this is what you are listening to every day, there's enough cortisol in your system. You know that grunge music or pop music, all that, even if you put gospel words to it, it definitely gives you elevated cortisol levels. But another study showed that when you listen to classical music, those soft and high frequency songs, music, it actually causes a brain recharge, and it dissolves cortisol. So yes, that is how music causes stress. And it's not just you could be in another faith, but you're listening to the same nature of songs, only that in that faith they pick that for study in comparison with other faiths. in terms of their predominant music. But if in your everyday life you listen to music that is high upbeat and loud, you will definitely have large cortisol levels.
So we have seen, friends, that there are certain diseases that musicians are predisposed to. Among them, we've listed the respiratory diseases, diseases of the joints, just like occupational diseases of any nature, diseases of the throat, you know, ear, nose, and throat conditions, and depression and mental health
now,
issues. Yeah. But
especially young people, by the way. Another study by World Health Organization said young people today, teens, have a 50% increased rate of depression. And again, whenever you do a study, it always leads into another study. So that study went into looking at or 50% more than teens 60 to 50 years ago. So what was the difference? The kind of music and of course media. So today we can just sample music. So you need to watch, even as a young person, what music do you listen to? Avoid reggae. Somebody must stop reggae.
Okay, and let me ask Sheba, how can musicians maintain their health?
Very good.
I think health is both physical, mental, spiritual. So just apart from being a musician, as a Christian and as a human being, you need to be healthy, all-rounded. One, I know this is one topic people hate or they don't like being touched, but obesity, overweight. As a musician, you'll realize, yes, we say when you're big, you have huge lungs and you can hit very high notes. But I'll tell you from experience, there's a time I was getting overweight and I got concerned. Because now I couldn't hit, you know, when you'll be doing hallelujah chorus, now when you'll be hitting the hallelujahs, the last, you know, you can't hit certain notes. And you're like, ay, mwili mpya tutapewa wapi? Tutapewa binguni, sindio? Until you have a honest discussion with yourself, and that goes to, what do I eat? In medicine, you're told what you eat can be medicine. Garbage in, garbage out. What we eat affects our well-being. If I'm always eating pizzas, by default I'll be obese. And that means I'll have to take medicine to take care of that pizza.
Obesity.
But there are people like me who even
hold on. Me, what I'm thinking is this. In your profile of the diet, I appreciate the weight and obesity as a factor of bad health that needs to be checked. Now I'm sampling what to eat. I'm eating healthy. I want you to stretch a little bit more. Are there specific foods to be avoided by a singer, specific foods to be eaten by a singer? That's what I was thinking here.
So I think in terms of a musician, like we need to avoid fatty foods, which might easily affect our vocals, sugary stuff, you know. I know some of us have sweet tooth, sweet teeth. We see chocolates and we know we are running towards it. Sugars have a way of naturally messing up with your vocals as a musician, as well as fatty foods. So I think if you have to stay healthy, maybe you can eat anything you have to eat, but have moderation. I always say moderation. Okay? I can have that sugar once in a while. It's not bad. I'm not saying
I can sample good sugar.
Or you sample good sugar.
From a fruit.
Maybe.
Yeah,
so something like that so that it's balanced, okay? So we don't have a lot of garbage going in that will mess up your, you know, good musical.
There is a practice I have seen many musicians doing, and it will cost them their teeth. Many musicians walk around with a bottle
of lemon, ginger,
you know, a full liter.
They put
5 liters.
They especially around recording time. Everyone enters with, you know, lemon
in hot water.
In hot water, and you're drinking it directly. And many of them will start complaining of tooth sensitivity.
What does lemon do to the tooth?
It corrodes your enamel. And it's not
acidic.
Dentists will advise you not to, you know, repeatedly take that lemon concoction.
What's the need for taking lemon? What are they solving?
A lot of the times you just feel a soothing effect on your
Why do they need the soothing
throat
effect?
The
they
reason why people need
cords.
this, exactly. You scratch the vocal cords and you have increased production of mucus. And when you have increased production of mucus, you start feeling like you need to clear your throat all the time. You know, you're speaking and you're feeling like because you're clearing something.
Yeah.
And you notice that there are certain foods that increase that production of mucus. Yeah.
So
One of them is sugary foods will do that.
Mm.
Bananas, like if you take bananas
Ah.
right before sleep, yeah, it will usually increase that mucus production, and you feel like I have to clear this. So many musicians, instead of eating right, yeah, and just knowing my
So-
daily diet consists of good sugars, yeah, your natural sugars will always be much better than your artificial sugars. And if you are constantly in the habit of rehydrating, you'll find even speaking for long hours
It's not a
becomes
problem.
easy. You won't
Yeah.
feel like coughing because your throat is dry. Yeah.
So we are talking here about weight, we are talking about diet. I am still just there thinking this way. Now, I have need for lemon water put with ginger, with cabbage. Yeah, you know the things they put inside.
Cabbage.
I don't know. They are just funny things they do. Is there a way I can prevent the onset? I'm trying to think, are there speakers who speak for weeks and their voices don't go there? And that's where we began in the vocal
Now,
health.
Yes, there is a way you can do that, and the
Posture.
first skill is learning how to breathe.
How to
Yeah.
breathe. How should people
Correctly.
breathe?
Yeah.
I thought everyone breathes. Everybody knows how to breathe.
Now, you need to understand that your lung is like a tank, okay? And it has like a full capacity. There is something we call a tidal volume. There is a part where it's not really full. And there are times when your lung gets accustomed to not being full, yeah? And you never get a full
that's not a
breath.
good thing,
and
is
it's
it?
not a good thing. Yeah, many people, when you're asked to breathe in, they'll actually breathe in and you'll see their shoulders coming up. You know, like, okay, I don't know how to breathe in like that. Okay, yeah, like, there are
Yeah,
people
just shoulders
I'm
coming
trying,
up.
yeah, because I've tried to train myself to breathe the correct way. Now, if you're breathing properly and you take in a full breath, your accessory muscles of breathing, that is the muscles of your stomach or of your abdomen, not really stomach, yeah,
Buana
should fill
stomach.
up.
Stomach is the
Yeah.
way you know it. That's everything
Okay.
from here is stomach.
all right, yeah. So the muscles around your abdomen should fill up, and as you speak, you actually push out that air through your stomach.
So good
and
breathing is
yes, and it trains you how to phrase, all right? And you don't have to shout. It's still a talking conversation. Even when you're singing out your words, you need to sing out as if you're just talking.
yeah.
The same ease with which you talk should be the same ease with which you
sing.
sing, all right? And if you learn how to breathe properly, you'll find that singing becomes a little easier. Now, there are exercises that can actually help you to learn how to breathe. One of them is an exercise I love, is swimming. When you learn how to swim underwater and you hold your breath underwater, you know, you can do the whole length of the pool while holding your breath. You'll find it easy to hold your breath through a phrase.
And if you don't like water, just hold breath in your house. So you can just
Because some of us can't swim.
yeah, some people don't like water. We have a bad relationship with water. We are
Okay.
not salamander. So you just stay in your house and you just count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you breathe out also slowly. You also need to learn not only holding breath, but also breathing out slowly. So apart from those two health watches for musicians, your weight and your diet, is there another health watch for a musician?
Sleep. Sleep is an important factor in rejuvenating your body, okay? When you stay up all night playing the piano or listening to music
Or writing a song?
or writing a song, your body doesn't get to regenerate. The things we're speaking about, your wear and tear of joints.
So you
yeah?
need to sleep well, sleep early, sleep regularly. 8 hours would be good. Sleep in darkness, sleep or
And it's
maybe on an
important,
empty
darkness
stomach.
is important
Yeah.
because certain hormones are released, yeah, when it is dark, okay? And the quality of sleep you get when you have full lights on and when it is dark is different.
Which
And
one is good quality?
you want, okay, we have two types of sleep, okay? There's sleep where you don't get to hear anything else, you know, happening. And then there's sleep where you get to hear a beat or you're alert, you're easily arousable, all right? And there are huge medical terms for this, yeah?
No, me, I just want, do I sleep better in darkness? I go switch off light?
You sleep better.
Or it is in light?
You sleep better in darkness and in quietness.
Darkness and quietness.
Because there are musicians who sleep with music
on. Yes.
On.
Is that good? I thought that will encourage sleep.
Of course, it can calm you at the beginning of sleep, yeah? But many times you'll find the brain activity continues.
So you need to put an alarm so that once it has set you to sleep, the music dies.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Any other health watch maybe from Sheba?
I think meditation could also be very important for musicians.
What meditation?
Personal meditation in terms of once in a while, just be away from the music. We understand you're a musician. We understand you love writing. And you love playing piano. Have some time alone and away from.
But they can't.
That's why you have to train yourself. You know, you unlearn old habits. You know, things that will now put you in the right frame.
Sometimes people can't because of addiction. To
and
music.
We said we'll talk
Can
about
music
that.
fuel addiction?
Definitely. When you have a child who is on piano all the time, that child's brain has been altered. It's not operating normally. Brain should get tired of stimulation, even of pleasure. Our greatest disease of this age is called we are thrilled to death. We have been bombarded with too much of the hormone dopamine until we don't even know how dopamine feels anymore. Now, music is one of such culprit. If you are such a person who cannot exist without an earphone, your brain is imbalanced, you are sick, you need to go to hospital, you need to look for me, I give you a regime on how to unhook from the music. That point you've said is so important. You see, sometimes you come and see bad music in church, bad music in the house, you tell them this music has this problem, this music has this problem, and then when you leave they put the same music. The problem is not that they didn't hear, they are addicted, and when someone is addicted, their brain operates against nature. You know, they are hooked, they have no control over it. So that brain needs to be reprogrammed, and some of the exercises are available. We can share that next time. But let's talk about the process of addiction. Addiction is the overpouring of dopamine into the brain. There is too much of overexcitement. Now that's why music is dangerous. It can be a source of disease in terms of pouring dopamine. And you see someone is always on the piano, anytime on the piano, that guy is not practicing. He is feeding a dopamine need, so that his dopamine is like music is his alcohol. So that time dopamine has gone low. And for you, it's just that you're using piano. For the alcoholic is using alcohol, but the structure of the brain is the same. The need of the brain is the same. So addiction is something that needs to be treated. And when Jesus met anybody whose mind was altered, he had compassion on them. You need to treat them kindly because they are operating against, they don't have a natural impetus for control. So we can encourage, if they are children, putting some things around them that can give them substitution. If it is a music Sabbath, we can deliberately break that program with prayer, meditation, break it. I see musicians coming, ganging up together on a music Sabbath and doing music the whole Sabbath, and it's music Sabbath. The problem is not music Sabbath, it's called dopamine Sabbath.
Indeed. Now the Bible says in the book 3 John that God wishes above all things that we would prosper and be in health. And in Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 15, the Bible goes on to say a wish and a promise that God gave the Israelites, that none of the diseases of the Egyptians would be upon the children of God. And God's children, God's singers, can have the experience of Moses. You know, I like telling him, now this has been my prayer since we met, that when we die, I would want to die the way Moses died. This is how Moses died. Moses was called High King. The Bible says that his strength was not abated. His eyes were not dim. This guy was in full health. He was actually told, Moses, come we go on a hike. You're actually going to die on this hike. That's how he died. No pain, no disease. And I ask myself daily, what type of life did Moses live for him to have that experience in death? And I know that the grace of God is sufficient to heal our diseases, to preserve our health even amidst our pandemic, that we may live to a land where we will never grow old. So I pray that this will bless you as we sing this song, Never Grow Old.
I have heard of our land on a faraway strand. It's a beautiful home of the blessed. It's built by Jesus on high, where we never more roam. It's a land where we'll never grow old.
In the beautiful land where we'll never more roam, we shall eat in the sweet by and by. Happy praise to the King, through eternity sing. It's a land where we never shall die. Never grow old, never grow old, in a land where we'll never grow old. Never grow old, never grow old, in a land where we'll never grow old.
When our work here is done and a life crown is won, we shall meet in the sweet by and by. All our sorrows will end, and our voices will blend. It's a land where we'll never shall die. Never grow old, never, never old, in a land where we'll never grow old. Never grow old, never grow old, in a land where we'll never grow old. Wanasiki, epinoma to onodonji. Never grow old, never grow old, never grow old, in a land where we'll never grow old. Indeed, we shall never, never grow old. You know, I have watched his graying beard and his graying hair, and every time I watch them, I remind him we are going to a place where we will never grow old. And I pray that God will keep you in perfect health, that God will preserve your life until we get to that land where we'll never grow old. Till next time, keep your eyes on Jesus. God bless you.